So look, welcome. Have a look at my together. Let's make coaching as commonplace as an accountant for small business. Guys, it's already a billion-dollar industry. Hands up if you believe that every single business owner on planet Earth should have a coach. Okay, now tell me how many business owners have one? Anybody know the percentage? Yeah, like 1% is about right. It's below 5%, well and truly. So we got a big task ahead of us. And let's get on it. Again, just think about the professional athletes of the world, guys. Name me one professional athlete worth his salt doesn't have a coach. It's not happening, including the LeBron Jameses, the Michael Jordans, the Wayne Gretzkys, what have you, the Tom Bradys, etc. So let's get straight into it, folks. 7 figures as a coach. Really good news. Business coaching. Coaching is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Business coaching itself is a billion-dollar industry. The good news is there's plenty of dough out there. You want to pull off your own 7-figure business, without question, the opportunity is there. Warren Buffett, retiring anytime soon? 84, going pretty damn strong. Okay, well, if I line up 100 baby boomers, okay, their number one fear, in fact, the number one fear that they have is becoming a paraplegic. The number 2 fear is running out of money in retirement. Okay, hand up if you'd like to never have to worry about running out of money in retirement. Absolutely. Okay, so as Adrian said earlier in the week, the beautiful thing about business coaching is that you don't have an expiry date. If you're a school teacher and you're rowing up and once you hit a certain age, it's kind of like it's time out with the old and in with the new. Business coaching, it's a little bit the opposite, and I use Warren Buffett as the example. You know, when Warren Buffett was 50 years old, he was a relative nobody. In his own little world, he was kind of big news. But it's only between like the age of, again, he's 84, I believe, so it's between the age of 50 and 84 that he's really become this rock star. Like everywhere the man goes, he's signing autographs. Okay, how would you like to take on a business where you're able to do that? Well, welcome to it. And make no mistake, because most people think of Warren Buffett and we think of the stock guru and that sort of stuff. It's absolutely not the case. The man is a business builder on steroids. He gets involved in businesses that he's able to help build. End of story. And again, going strong at the age of 84. Welcome to it. So the good news for you guys, as I said, if you never, again, you know, running out of money in retirement, how much fun would that be? How would you like to retool at the age of 80? Like, I don't think so. And by the way, modern drugs, and I know the Google boys are working on ways, you know, we could be living to 120. Right? So we need to fill our piggy banks and keep them. So anyways, nuts and bolts of it, guys. Warren Buffett's not retiring. I'm going to encourage you guys not to be retiring. Even in fact, the notion of retiring, think about it. Like I had prior to, like I moved from Australia. I had an amazing life, amazing friends. A lot of my best friends in the world still live in Australia. And I picked up and I moved, through my marketing company growing and whatnot. I ended up in Canada. And then of course a woman was involved, but that's a whole other story. Right? But then I started building the business here, and then I realized that like this notion of retiring and then deciding that you're going to move off to Mexico, like to build all these friendships and these great, like have a community and whatnot around you, and then to pick up and then leave that in your retirement years, to me that's completely. And by the way, this is me, right? I can think that's completely asinine. It's going to be for some, but certainly not for me. Same thing with retiring. If you're going to work this hard for the next 20 years, why not work at something that you can just keep going? There's only so much golf I want to play, right? And believe me, you've ever seen me golf, by the way, that's a good thing for those on the other fairway, because the ball often heads in that direction. Okay, so guys, building a career here that doesn't have an expiry date, quite the contrary, and as you become better at this and you become a little more wise and a little bit more experienced, it's going to be easier to get these clients, it's going to be easier to get the results, you're going to be worth significantly more. So let's say again, you're a $2,000 a month coach, and we all agree that that's insanely inexpensive, correct? Well, if you can get 5 clients, $2,000 a month, coach them every second week, because again, as you guys become better coaches and whatnot, you'll find that 2 weeks is better than 1, because they'll, overwhelm and that sort of stuff. That's $10,000 a month for the rest of your life. And as inflation comes in and that sort of stuff, $2,000 will become 4, and you'll continue to be kind of on that standard for the rest of your life. Never have to worry about it until you lose your marbles, and then you become your kid's problem. And that's okay. That's their penance, right? So again, maximizing your time. Speak to a coach. Again, you guys want to build a 7-figure business, a 7-figure coaching business, you've got to make sure, I speak to a coach, it feels like every day, it's absolutely every week, where they're like old school, look, no, Karl, I got to get in the car, I got to be belly to belly, face to face, toes to toes with these guys, and they'll give me a bunch of, a variety of different reasons. right? Absolutely not. Think of it this way. If, like back in the day when I was coaching and I was doing face-to-face stuff, I could really get 4 appointments done properly in a day between driving and getting out of the car and the handshake and the kiss on the cheek and grabbing me coffee and that sort of stuff, right? Well, on the phone, I can get 10 appointments done in an incredibly busy day, but I could certainly get done 8 and include, very comfortably lunch and that sort of stuff. Well, if that's right, and that was absolutely my experience, I'm not sure about yours, but work it out. If you can get 4 appointments done in a day and charge X, and I can get 8 appointments done in the same day and charge X, I can basically charge half as much as you and make the same amount, or I can charge the same amount and double your fees or double your income, right? So very important, guys. And the good news is this this billion-dollar industry that's becoming a multi-billion-dollar industry as we start to take shape. Like I said, it's a billion-dollar industry, and less than 5% of business owners have a coach. So again, let's get out there. But how are we going to go about doing that? Providing massive value and really looking after these folks in a genuine value proposition where they exchange $2,000 our way, for a monthly fee, and then we're sending a considerably larger amount than that back. Okay, that's the only way that this thing grows. Niche. I answer this. This is another question and something that I talk about a lot. In fact, I just took the time before I got going today to kind of write this down to make sure. In fact, a conversation with my man James last night. Actually, once again, I just stopped talking to you, James. Every time I talk to the man, I got to go back and redesign my damn PowerPoints and slides and presentations. But what did you say to me? It was just last night about a video that you'd watched, or.
No, and I've referenced this a couple of times, but there is an MP3. It's a recording of a seminar. It was an old day thing I think we were doing, Carl. This was just 45 minutes.
Yep.
But one of the aha, I'm saying aha moment, but it was one of those things you go, you know what? Get over yourself, James. It was, don't get emotionally attached to anything in the business.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, it's got to be profitable. This thing has to make money.
Yeah, and don't pretend anything else, right? Yeah, don't kumbaya, and I want to help everybody, which is good.
Like, we're in the business of making money, period. That's why we do this. Yeah. Right? Or else we'd all be doing it for free.
Yeah, love it. So the niche, so if you're going to pick a niche, you're saying that high profit margins would be one of the first things that you'd be looking at.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you want to give back to your kids, you want to give to your charities, provide for your church, et cetera, you got to make some dough. So if you're going to pick a niche, these are the things that I'd be thinking about. 1, you want it to be profitable, right? Also along that, and kind of, synergistic with it, is the fact that I'd want recurring income, okay? So, if you've got a client, like if I was going to sell shoes, do I want to sell kids' shoes or do I want to sell adult shoes? Kids' shoes. How come? Recurring income, right? Because every 6 months, 12 months, they're there for new ones, right? So if you've got a pool company and they charge $50,000 to build the pool, do you want to own the pool company and make $15,000 a deal, or do you want to provide the services on the back end to clean the pool and provide chlorine for the next 50 years while the pool's in the backyard? All good answer. But if you had to choose one or the other, which one would you go with? Back end, recurring, ongoing, because that's actually, I'll get to that in one of the other sections, but that's the kind of business that you want to be helping, and those are the ones that are going to continue to pay your fees, and this is the kind of thing that I'd be thinking about when it came time for a niche. Having experience in it just goes without saying. I said to you guys in my last presentation, like for the rest of my life, I'm going to be able to say I built a $5.5 million coaching company, used to do $400,000 a month in new small business coaching clients. It just gives me an unbelievable amount of, I've got the experience and I've got the expertise. So 2 and 3, tick, tick. What do you guys have experience and expertise in and around? Because it's going to lend itself, it's going to make it significantly easier for you to be able to close this. Number 4 of ease of entry. This one, absolutely stinking critical. What I mean by that, I want to be able to help. I can take a salesperson out of the sales force selling pharmaceuticals or what have you, real estate, mortgage broker, and we can turn them into a business coach within 90 days. Not going to be a fantastic business coach, and clearly there'll be some teething problems, but they're ready to go. Well, think about how much bigger my marketplace is when I can just literally go to salespeople and printers like we talked about today, big time accountants and bookkeepers and so many different niches that I can go to are just wide open to be able to go, hey, let's bolt consulting onto the back end. So ease of entry. So again, I wouldn't pick necessarily say chiropractors as my niche because why is that? 8 years of school, right? Why?
Because they're broke.
And they're broke. But everybody's broke, right? So get used to that one. But anyway, but you're correct. Like chiropractors is not the niche that I would pick because there's going to be 8 years of school. Dentist, same thing. If I were going to go into those niches, one of the things that I'd be doing is I would be going to the chiropractors, obviously helping them build their business, but I'd also be targeting the guys who are working for the chiropractors and trying to get them out onto their own. And then ease of entry kind of works, right? But you can't go just take Tom, Dick, and Harry and say, hey man, I got a great idea. Let me coach you to become a chiropractor. He's going to say, how would I do that? That's a great idea, Karl, but how would I crack a back? So anyway, so ease of entry, absolutely huge, and it's going to make your market massive. Actually, number 5, you would have heard Adrian and I say this many a times, but find a parade and then stand in front of it. Something that's like, growing at a rapid rate as opposed to something that's stagnating or declining. Things like organic vegetables. Hands up if you think that might grow a little bit as a need moving forward. End of story, right? Botox and med spas. Hands up if you think anti-aging might, with the increase in baby boomers. Hands up if you think anti-aging is a niche that would probably be a little bit exciting, right? Everybody's hand goes up. It's obvious, right? So find a parade and then stand in front of it. Example again, I'd give you here like Google. Does anybody get like spun out when they hear about Facebook and Google getting these like multi-billion? Remember the difference between million and billion. A million is 12 days, and then a billion is 32 years, right? So there's none of this, million, billion, interchangeable, like they're not even on the same planet, right? So Google and Facebook are worth multi-billions, and Zuckerberg wasn't even had his 30th birthday yet, and Facebook was rocking, right? Well, is that because Zuckerberg's so smart? Is that because the Google boys are geniuses? A little bit. But really what it is the parade just kind of took them to shore. Right? They weren't that intelligent that they took, businesses and grew them to billions of dollars. The wave just rode them in. Again, when I'm picking my niche, I'd be thinking about that. Solar panels, right? Do you think that might be something that might become more popular or less popular? Pretty obvious, right? So anyway, find a parade and then stand in front of it. Number 6, enjoyable, right? Enjoyable in most people's lists would be a little bit closer to the top, but again, I would be putting that down in terms of I'm going to pick my niche. I want to make sure. Success is often insanely boring. I'm guessing you guys have experienced that yourselves, right? And what happens is people are driven by, there's 6 different needs, but the top 2 are certainty and then uncertainty. And the problem that, everybody needs, you need certainty, and Adrian talks about it all the time. Like when you walk into a client's office, your job is to provide them certainty that, the information that you're going to pass on, the guidance that you're going to provide is going to provide a result. End of story, right? Well, the problem is when you do the same thing over and over and over and over again, like i.e. coaching, let's just say chiropractors for the sake of it. If you just coach chiropractors day in, day out, got incredibly good at it, started making some really, really good coin, do you think there might be a day where you go, oh my gosh, I'm going to go nuts, right? So it's the need number 2 is uncertainty, right? So God in her infinite wisdom, right, gave us those 2. You need certainty, but then you also need uncertainty. So all of a sudden you change path. What I would encourage you to be thinking about, and by the way, encouraging your clients to be thinking about, is get your go skydiving, go scuba diving, take a month off. You know what I mean? Find other areas of your life for massive amounts of uncertainty and pleasure and enjoyment. And with your business, try keep it as tight and simple and monotonous in a lot of ways as possible. And by the way, guys, this is not black and white. I'm not trying to, these are my opinions and whatnot, but you want to build a 7-figure coaching business, I got to tell you, and Mike will attest to this, correct? You need to have a sales process, and you need to be able to go in there and know that you're going to get the deal. And as you get better at it, you got to be able to raise your prices like you talked about in the presentation, right? So you want to build 7-figure business, if you're driven by uncertainty, I'm a certainty guy, right? Because I've buffeted myself around the world, and my wife is uncertainty on steroids. Hence why I just moved my family, right? I'm like, baby, I don't want to move. I don't need change. I like the exact opposite, man. I want the same bed, the same house, the same everything. But anyway, so certainty and uncertainty, it's really good just to recognize how important those things are in your world. And then so enjoyable, it's there. Again, my point of that is possibly trying to find some enjoyment out of other things. A bit like James and I conversation last night where he's like, look, I love that. And I was like, my gosh, it was really good. Because I'm like, how old was that presentation, man? Because I can't remember saying that for a long time. So I went and reordered this. But anyway, so enjoyable. And some of the other, if you pick wisely, some of the opportunities, building a do-it-yourself program, right? Licensing opportunities, and then ultimately franchising could potentially be something that, just because you started as a coach, there's all sorts of wonderful opportunities that will come before you if you nail it, get really good at this, and, completely immerse yourself in it. In fact, another example, and a little bit off topic, Tori and I were talking earlier, in fact, Sean last night, right, we were talking about domain names. Like, I invest in domain names. I believe that if I could put you guys in a time warp and take you back, to like 1920, 1950, how much real estate would you buy? Like you'd beg, borrow, steal, like anything, and you'd put all the money on real estate. And what would you do? You'd sit back and you'd relax for 10 years and know that you were going to be laughing. And then if you never sell, never sell, never sell, never sell. See, the expression old money? Old money is just people who didn't sell. That's what it is, right? So with that being said, if you like that idea, my opinion, and this is only my opinion, and these things could be proven incredibly wrong, are that domain names are like 1920 prices for real estate. Right? Like, you can go buy and Tori, because she's a rock star, went and she's bought a domain name. She's like, what, that's a bloody good idea. She went and picking out a couple domain names last night. 2, there we go, 2, right? And that could be the beginning. So again, may or may not be something, but if you were to target a domain and then a niche, and then you decided that you wanted to invest in domains, and you like what I'm saying here, you wouldn't just go buy domain and try, get some lame. I'm not going to use the example I was going to use. I'll refrain. But let's say that you were going to go into plumbers, right? Well, I just moved, right? So I used to live in Port Moody, so I'd buy Port Moody Plumbers, and then the suburb beside was Coquitlam Plumbers, and then it's Port Coquitlam Plumbers, and I would buy 50 domain names in and around plumbers, and then who would I ultimately sell those domain names to? My clients. So not only am I investing in the domain names, but then because I'm in this niche, the way that we're in the coaching niche, and guess what? A lot of my domain names are in and around these, right? Like 911 Marketing is an example of a domain name that I sold. I bought it for, I don't even know what, but we ended up selling it for $6,000, right? In record time. So anyway, with that being said, these types of opportunities come to you, I believe, when you do this properly. But you've got to pick well. So niching, and that is not anything you guys don't know, but a little bit of, with a little bit of a laundry list and some other ways of looking at it, possibly worth having a look. And even like my background, guys, is licensing franchising, right? I franchised my first company at 33, and I've helped others do the same thing. The excitement and the profitability of that are incredible. Okay, so niche. Next, product. You want to make 7 figures with your coaching company, continue to do time for money, and you can forget it. You just got to do the math. You got to bring on a whole heap of staff, and then yes, you can get there, but I'm telling you, I saw Mike's heads bob, right? It's there's going to be some pain, right? And so bottom line, okay, they're cringe. I don't know, the head nod and then the cringe. So product, like the e-learning system as an example is a product, right? So, let me help you out with this. You guys just got the you think there's a plumber out there? Do you think there's a roofer out there that might be willing to go and buy your turnkey marketing system and then the strategy guide that you just got, right? Becky Aller, she, don't quote me on these numbers, but she charged, I think it was $10,000 for a chiropractor to buy the marketing system, right? We sat down with a cosmetic surgeon. We weren't pitching, coaching and look, we're going to move into your basement. Sold him a marketing system for $25,000, and he all but pushed the credit card through the phone. Positioned properly, we've got a lot of experience, Adrian and I, right? So just to be fair, these are things that you need to toy with, but at the end of the day, that sale was made and it was a system, and the $60,000 was all the other stuff that went with it. But we got the $25,000 deal done, selling a product, and then we added all the other fun stuff, very similar to the way you guys were talking about doing the printers earlier this morning, okay? So, but product, you got to find a way to do a product, and so much easier to productize if you're going to be in a niche. You got to have a team. Remember the first day when we went around and everybody was saying their number one challenge? I would say 90% of the time, the solution was team, and often it was a staff member, either somebody to do the lead generation or somebody to do the coaching on the back end. But at the end of the day, guys, you want to build a 7-figure business, you are not going to be able to do it by yourself. In fact, no matter what, you want to build a 7-figure business in any niche of any description that's worth something and an asset that you can one day sell, you're going to need to have a team around you, right? So things like a lawyer, you're going to have an accountant, clearly, right? But you're going to have a team, and a group like this can be, incredibly valuable when you're trying to build a coaching business. Fundamentals, so basically fundamentals, and as I told you, I always try to break things down into 3, not always possible, but here, basically, Adrian and I, in fact, Adrian, how long did we play with this? We were back and forth. I said, what we need to do is we need to find a way to be able to bring this across in 3 steps. Adrian and I, we had it to 7, we got it to 6, we got it to 5, and then we kind of, further broken it down, and look, it's just 3 steps. You want to build a 7-figure coaching company, you need lead generation. You need conversion, which is basically getting a credit card, getting the check, the paperwork signed, and an agreement for some money and an engagement. And number 3 are results. And that's not results for you, that's results for your clients. Right? So these are the 3 steps to building a 7-figure coaching company. So quickly, let's do this lead generation. How about you guys help me out here? Help me with what do you guys do to generate leads? What's worked the best for you folks? Who's going to help me? Frank, speaking? How did you fill the room for the speaking?
Joint venture partners.
Joint venture. Any other way?
Networking events that I invite people to.
Network. So networking, speaking, joint ventures. Yeah. Sorry?
Exhibitions.
Exhibition, trade show, beauty. And what would you do at the trade show?
In my case, I got invited to speak on stands.
Yeah. So speaking again.
So when after the 10K challenge, I've gotten quite excited.
Yeah. Like beauty. See what I'd also be doing. Like let's say the event. Let's say that you got 4,000 chiropractors flowing through. Well, I would take my elevator pitch. And what is, my name's Karl Bryan. I do 45-minute turnarounds. I guarantee to find any small business owner $10,000 in 45 minutes without spending $1 on marketing or advertising. Well, I'm going to the chiropractor, so I then walk into the trade show and say, hi, my name's Karl. I do 50-minute marketing makeovers for chiropractors. I guarantee to find any chiropractor 10 grand, 50 minutes without spending $1 on marketing or advertising on their chiropractic office. See how that would work? So again, I agree, trade show, awesome, but then we could further niche it. And by the way, that doesn't mean that you only talk to chiropractors now. It's just like on the weekend, there's 4,000 in town. So this is the way I'm going to go pitch myself. There's 4,000 of them. I'd like to think you could get yourself 40 business cards, 10 one-to-one audits, 2 or 3 clients, not a bad day's work, right? Anyways, what else? What else do we do to generate leads?
Webinars.
Webinars, love it. And how do you fill your webinars?
Ads, direct mail, email, all of that.
Yep. All the, and
Word
probably a
of mouth.
joint venture.
Yeah.
Yep, beautiful. Okay, perfect. So webinars. Who else? How else do we generate leads?
Programs.
Sorry?
Referral programs.
Referral program. Beauty. I used to have a referral program. This is going back a while here, but remember there's rank recognition, prizes, and then money, okay, that will motivate anybody. That's a staff member, that's a client, it's a joint venture program. So rank, we had gold, silver, and platinum. Recognition, they sent their first referral, they got dinner. I think they sold 3, and then they got, movies and something, something a little bit more exciting. When they got 10, so it was a race to 10, rank, recognition. So we gave them something. The recognition went up as it was dinner, and then it was movies and dinner, and then it was something a little more exciting there. Rank, recognition, prizes. The first 1 to 10, guess what we did? We sent them to Australia. Okay. Now you do the math. You ticket to Australia. I mean, it's pretty expensive, right? The husband and wife. It's a ticket for 2. Go rock star it. But the thing is, if I got 50 people competing for it and 1 wins, imagine what the amount of referrals, like how they accelerate when everybody's trying to get to 10 first. And then, by the way, the one that gets to 10, you can imagine how you celebrate them within your community, right? So rank, recognition, prizes. Oh, and then money, actually. And then we also paid, and then there was, and again, I can't remember exact dynamics, guys, going back a number of years, but it was like we were just paying $1,000 a referral. So you still got everything else I was saying, but you also got $1,000. Like we were spending big bickies on this, but you could imagine worked incredibly well. And again, we followed our own formula, and then we'd be working with you and say, know how we got those 3 referrals from you is because we kind of use this formula: rank, recognition, prizes, money, and then we'd help them adopt it, and it would go, incredibly well for them as well. So anyway, yes, so yeah, referrals, so I got on that, but you can take it up a notch big time. Rank, recognition, prizes, money. I'd encourage you. And by the way, money is number 4 by design, not by accident. The last thing, once you give someone the pay raise, the pay raise is done, right? Whereas let's say that I own a moving company. And do you think if you owned a moving company, I want you to picture the guys who work for you. Some guys that might drink a little bit too much, smoke a little bit too much, yada, 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 not the greatest, right? Okay, well, roll up for 120 days in a row, without exception, without fail, in your uniform, clean, yada, yada. On the 120th day, we send you and your wife to Vegas. Okay, then what we do is we'd send them, and it would be 90 days afterwards. So once you think about this, the guy's like, he gets to 30, he gets to 60. Like, what are the chances of him, screwing it up now, right? Not real good. And by the way, the kind of guy that works for a moving company, Vegas works very, very well. There would be Disneyland and other niches and whatnot that would work better. So imagine like he's getting to day 60, and he's at the pub with his buddies at the bar, and guess who he's talking to? His other buddies. And when somebody works for a moving company and likes a few pops after work, guess who his network and his community and his friends tend to be? Same kind of guys. And he's talking about, holy cow, I think I'm going to win a trip to Vegas. I'm going to Vegas for like 60 days. And then he wins the trip, by the way. And now he's not going for another 90 days. So guess what he's talking about to his buddies? And his buddies like, what the hell's going on, man? I've been working my butt off for, the framing company, and they're not sending me anywhere. And I haven't missed a day in X amount of time. Well, now guess what? You just attracted great talent. Right? And who attracted them? Your buddy. So now he's like recruiting staff for you. And if you know moving companies like that, staffing is your number one challenge, correct? Anyway, so just getting a little bit creative in terms of how you do that. Rank recognition, prizes, money, it can be incredibly valuable for you and your clients. Lead generation. How else do we get coaching clients? Networking. Perfect. And what do we go to the networking function, and what's absolutely paramount that we have? Boom, exactly. And one of the things I always did, I always wanted to go have a giveaway. So what I do is I'm not a huge, and this is just me, guys, right? This is not right, this is not wrong, but going every week to the networking, that's just not my style, right? It's just not happening for me. But I do, I like to eat too, and hanging out with people, that's all good. So if I was gonna go to a networking function, it would be like for 2 weeks prior to my boot camp, or my event, or I'd bring my book. But it'd be 2 weeks before my boot camp, and I'd come and say, oh, by the way, guys, I normally charge $297 for this, and I wanted to give you guys all a free ticket. If you're interested, you're probably not. It's all good, but hey, okay, cool. What do you guys do? So anyway, so it's like, so I roll up with presents. I'm Santa Claus, right? Again, so give. Anyways, that can work very well. So yes, networking. Anything else?
Cold call.
Boom. I was waiting for that. My boy Blue. Guys, just picking up the phone and making calls. This is just what you should. And by the way, you're going to get sick of it. Mike, the best training on planet Earth. Cold calling, without question. Pick up the phone, 50 phone calls. Next day, 50 phone calls. The next day, 50 phone calls. Drink a beer and go, my gosh, I'm going to strangle myself. 50 more phone calls. Dude, after 250 of these calls, what's your sales skills doing? How are your instincts? How's your level of, that I always say about pitching and showing up? You know what I mean? Your ability to show up and know when to raise your voice and lower your voice, when to shut up, when to invoke, curiosity, etc. It's only going to go up. So I get that everybody hates cold calling, and I hate cold calling, but you're staring at a guy that's made more cold calls. Like I said, I honestly think, apart from probably Adrian, actually, and Mike, but you could take all of the cold calls in this room collectively, add them all together, and I don't know if you'd measure my total that I have made, right? But the good news is that, again, like when I go to the gym and I hire a personal instructor or a personal trainer, if they jump on the treadmill, they get the muscle. So if you hire, the folks that we talked about, maybe with a disability and maybe somebody overseas to make some calls for you, you might be missing out on a little bit of muscle that you need to hit 7 figures, right? Because it's not just about making these cold calls and getting your 45-minute turnaround engagement. There's so much more to it. Right? There's so many more. And what about the accountant that you phone, right? Somebody like a business owner that you phone, and then her wife is an accountant and a high flying one, or that knows somebody famous, and there might be other ways to leverage that relationship. So making phone calls, you guys all, including us, and we have software going out like on LinkedIn every single day, shooting out messages. Should have somebody on the horn, finding a way to disrupt some folks and get them to say, I might be interested. And it doesn't need to be you, but I would encourage, if you want to hit 7 figures, and I know many way too seasoned to be thinking about cold calling right now, but that's some muscle that I would be thinking about growing. But anyway, so cold call, I love them.
When you say cold call, you mean from leads or LinkedIn contacts or stuff like that, right?
That's exactly.
You don't mean just
Well,
Google search.
yeah,
Search people and call.
totally.
I can't even tell you how many hundreds of thousands of dollars I've made off of a cold call.
Boom. And
What market? Right, name it. Okay,
Anything.
let's go. Yeah, there's no running.
yeah.
So Google search plumbers, bam.
Sure, absolutely.
Can you handle more customers?
It's not a bad qualifying question.
I'm going to give a really good example later, but I don't want to. But the answer is yes, right? I just call. But remember the call that I did not long ago, and I mentioned it in the last presentation. Salesforce went from 0 to 300 million using cold call strategy. Okay, and the only twist that I could really see, and no doubt, guys, look, they've got some nuances as you will build these as you make more calls. That's just what happens. You'll grow muscle. But they went from 0 to 300 million. And the only adjustment that they had is they did a little bit of research to ensure the person they were emailing or the person they were messaging, but because they would send the message and then phone, hey, did you get my message, right? Look like that. That they did a little bit of homework beforehand to make sure that A, they knew a little bit about this guy when they got him on the phone or that he responded. And then B, whilst doing that, they were working out, is this the right guy to, is this the right person? Is this my ideal client? If it's not, I'm not sending you the message because I'm not here to waste any time. Yours nor mine. So anyways, guys, look, we've got a bunch of them. We've all talked about this as nauseum. The only partnerships that's important, like if, let's say there's an accounting firm down the road, you're a business coach and you're operating out of your house and, the wife and kids are starting to get on you and it's like, okay, time for office space. Go to the accountant and offer him $500 a month to go into the back room, right? He's got 12 or 15 or 30 accountants in Doug's case, right, working there. If you're walking past 30 accountants every day, what do you think your chances are of picking up a client every once in a while, right? Insanely good. So that can be the kind of deal that you could, and then ultimately go to the guy who owns the accounting firm and say, I think we're missing out on a massive opportunity here. Like, Doug, is there a $100,000 to $1 million coaching consulting business in every accounting firm? Absolutely, right? No, absolutely, right? So anyway, so that's one that I would be adding in your repertoire there. Referrals, forum groups, like a LinkedIn, Facebook, networking, business and beer, right? If you guys haven't worked that out, I really like that one, okay? Stand out. So anyway, so these are some things. We basically nailed them all, right? I didn't even pop them up. Like the same ones that I came up with are the same ones that you guys just shared with me, right? Add one, poof. It's not rocket science. It's all action, right? Remember my last presentation, fundamental number one, right, of getting the right mindset is speed. Just go and stink and do it, right? Okay, so stand up from the crowd. Those of you that were here last year, you would have seen a lot of these. Real simple, guys. I just want to get your mind running in terms of how you could be positioning yourself a little bit more uniquely, because if you want to hit 7 figures, just presenting yourself as a business coach, you're making the road a lot longer and a lot windier than it would necessarily be. So industry, you're the plumber coach, you're the dentist coach, you're the restaurant coach. Positioning, like you've never met the mental toughness coach. But if I was standing here as the mental toughness coach, is it insanely obvious what I do? And then notwithstanding, when you heard mental toughness coach and you felt like this is the kind of guy that I need, then all of a sudden I got myself a client. Do you know what I mean? So I really like that. I don't know, Greatness University is actually out there. I don't know whose it is. I think it might be Kevin Nations, but end of the day, I think it's incredibly good.
Steve Siebel.
Who is it?
Steve Siebel.
Oh, there you go. Steve Thiebel?
Siebel.
Thiebel. Am I saying it right? That one, what she said. But again, guys, check it out. But the bottom line is, what are you calling yours is the question. He's calling his the Greatness University. What are you calling yours? Come up with something really clever. You guys know the referral master is Jeff Kirkwood. Last year, you guys were probably at the presentation. Somebody started crying when I brought his name up. Jeff Kirkwood passed away. He was the referral master. Loved the man. Such a cool dude. You got no idea. His son is the referral guy. Still a client today. One of the first ever guys to sign up. Legend. But again, pretty obvious what they do. When you're called that referral guy, pretty obvious what you do. Business broker, I like this, Frank, which by the way, I like this. Clearly it's going to need some fine print, but your business will be sold in 365 days guaranteed or I'll buy it. Does that remind you of anything? What does that remind you of? Real estate, like I've blatantly stolen it, right? So find something somebody else has done that's like incredibly clever and then just swipe it and adjust it for your own, which by the way, may work, may not, but I tell you, you'd get yourself some traction and the chamber would be pretty interested in you coming and have a chat.